Hey, hello YouTube, and thanks for tuning in to another Hanging with Heavy video. Today I'm going to start working on the power hammer again. We're going to assemble the base plate, the uprights, and put the anvil in place. Now I'm going to show you how to go ahead and cut your parts for that. Keep in mind that we had to have some machining done, and our machinist kind of dropped the ball. But we've got a new machinist, he's back on target, and we're getting ready to start working again. So I'm going to show you a little bit about this power hammer, how we're going to put it together, how to make the templates and things of that nature. Hang with Heavy as we go ahead and work on our power hammer. So I'm going to show you how to go ahead and make a template so you can cut the square tubing to the radius of your anvil. And it doesn't matter whether it's 8 inches, 6 inches, whatever it is you were able to get hold of. And you can use the same technique and how to cut the piece that goes in between there. So hang with Heavy as I show you how to make this template. Okay, now then, to make your template, what you want to do is take out your retaining bolts, because remember we drilled and tapped those. Take those out. This is going to be your radius right here. So, taking a piece of corrugated cardboard, something I just picked up, I'm going to lay it on here like this. I'm going to take my hammer and I'm going to tap around the edge. Now, at that point, you now have a template for the radius. Let's take a look here. Here's my template for my radius, right here. It fits right around there perfectly. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to transfer it over to my, my piece of tubing so that I can cut this, because I need to have a distance in between here from the center of my anvil. So hang with Heavy and I'm going to show you how to find the center of this anvil here and the distance from here to here. Now that you've got the radius of your anvil transferred over to your template, it's easy enough to go ahead and transfer it over to the piece of tubing. Now keep in mind that you've got to have a sharp soapstone and you've got to have a good sharp layout. If you are going to use the outside of this tubing to line up the edge, make sure you use the outside of your tubing on this side to line up the edge. Don't line up the outside on one side, the inside on another, and when you cut it, your tube will be crooked. So make sure that your layout points are the same for both sides, and then go ahead and lay it out. Once you get it laid out, you can take and center punch it, take your torch or some other device and cut that. In this case, I'm going to be using a torch. Now, there is a very specific length for this, so let's keep that in mind. We're going to Okay, now here's how I find the center of my anvil. I take my square and I see that my anvil is 8 1/4 inches in diameter. That means that the radius of this bad boy is going to be 4 1/8. So I'm going to take my dividers, set them at 4 1/8, and find the center of this anvil. Now then, at this point there are 2 measurements that you have to be holding to the point of. Number 1 is the 10-inch measurement from the top of the anvil to the top of the tube, and the other one is the 12-inch dimension from here, from the front of the tube to the center of the anvil. Now, this is the Rayclon's tire hammer, and you can definitely get these plans. If you look at the very first video we did, you'll see how to order these. If you're going to try and build this hammer from this video, you're going to play double. Now let's take a look at another dimension that we should definitely be paying attention to. Now then, the part that we're looking at right now is the anvil. This is the part that we're paying attention to, this round circle here. This round circle has got a square on the top of it. That square is your template for the layout for these two holes. Those are the holes that we drilled and tapped back in a couple videos back. You're going to notice though that this is set at a 45 degree. So your bolt holes have to lay out 45 degrees in conjunction with this tube here. So I'm going to show you how to find this 45 in here also. So pay attention to this part right here, because it's very critical. So these three dimensions, the two over there, the 10 inch, the 12 inch, and then once again, the 45 degree for your anvil layout. You're going to have to position your anvil layout to the 45 before you tack it in place. Don't tack it in place and then go ahead and think you're going to be able to move it. That's not going to happen. Also, use good fabrication techniques. Tack and then weld. Never weld something down solid in the building process. Always try and get your stuff tacked up before you weld out. Okay, now here's how I find the center of my anvil. I take my square and I see that my anvil is 8 1/4 inches in diameter. That means that the radius of this bad boy is going to be 4 1/8. So I'm going to take my dividers, set them at 4 1/8, and find the center of this anvil. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and I'm going to set my dividers. I have a set of layout tools here, and I'm going to take my dividers and I'm going to set them at 4 1/8, and I'm going to mark them, and then I'm going to find the center. So I put it right on the edge. I see them at 4 1/8, and I know I'm ready to go. All right, now here is the tricky part. Now that I know where the center of my anvil is, I have to take and set one edge of my dividers right on the edge, and I'm going to swing an arc. And as I swing that arc, I'm going to make a scratch on the surface. I'm then going to find a place opposite of that. I'm going to do the same thing, and I'm going to swing an arc again. Now, where these arcs intersect is where the center of my anvil is, and I'm going to mark that with a center punch. So that's how I find the center of my anvil. Okay, now for me to be able to find the distance from the center of my anvil to the front of that tubing, that 5-inch tube, I have to know where everything's at. So what I did was I laid out my base plate, which was 24 inches square, at 12 inches. I laid 2.5 inches out on my tubing, and I brought both of those lines together, and then I checked them for square with my square. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side for my anvil. Now you can see I've got my center punch mark right at the 12 inches. I've got the other part right there that we're going to cut today and fit in place. Well, this is our frame assembly, and you can see what I've done there is I've measured down 10 inches, I've tacked that together, I've made sure that my vertical column is plumb, I've made sure that my anvil is plumb. Now these got to be plumb both ways. I've made sure that my part is in the exact spot, and check it out, it's only tacked. All we're going to do is tack it. And how big is a tack? A tack is big enough to hold a part in position until a more permanent weld can be made. All right, here we go. We've got this part, part number 201, is now assembled and tacked together, and you too can go ahead on. So if you're following with me, hang along. I'm going to be making some more parts today. Okay guys, there we go. We've got this frame assembly built and tacked together. Now remember, keep in mind, you got to lay out all your parts. Be accurate in your work. If you're a 1/4 inch off here, you're going to be a 1/2 inch off later on. So make sure that you're accurate in your work. Keep your parts plumb, true, and square. It's going to be a big help to you later on down the road. So you guys know what I want you to do. Reach over there, hit that like, share, subscribe button. Let's make this thing go thousands of views. And you know what I'm going to do? I'll catch you outside.